So Jamaica's election 2025, that's done. It's over. It's history. The JLP's Andrew Holness has made history. So what happens now? I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Thank you so much for joining me. Time for tea. Not going to lie, this election was exciting. From all the excitement on the campaign trail to the closeness of the RJR Gleaner Don Anderson polls and all the tension on election night. Election 2025, turn up! And it's a JLP celebrating this morning, having made it across the finish line. As you probably know by now, they got 34 seats to the PNP's 29. It's a reduced majority from their landslide 49 seats that they won in 2020, but it's a decisive win. So congrats to the JLP for their victory. Congrats to the PNP for a hard-fought campaign and for a better showing than they put up in 2020. And you know, Andrew Holness has shown himself to be a master strategist, right? This is not the Holness of 2011 who gave in to the PNP, who kept goading him. You remember that? Call it, Andrew, call it. Call it, Andrew, call it. And Andrew called it, and he lost and had to step down as Prime Minister after less than 2 months in government. In the years since that debacle, Holness has solidified his position as leader of the party. He is completely in charge, and he timed the calling of this election impeccably. All the fuss and furore about how he was going down to the wire, he was going to be acting unconstitutionally. Look, the man knew exactly what he was doing, and my position on that always was that he was acting within the Constitution. As you know, we don't have fixed election dates in Jamaica. The Prime Minister has a lot of leeway in terms of when to call the election, and he made full use of that constitutional privilege. Now, if he had called the election earlier, would he have lost? Maybe, but that come in like the track and field commentators where after a 100-meter race they go, you know, if there had been another 10 meters, another 15 meters, the result would have been different. Well, it's not a 110-meter race, it's not a 115-meter race, it's a 100-meter race. So whoever win after 100 meters win the race. Same so now. He needed more time. Holness needed more time. He used that constitutional privilege to get it. Commentators on the JLP can now claim that September 3rd date as a lucky election date. We might never again see a JLP government calling an election outside of September 3. Holness overcame incumbent fatigue. They'd been in office for 2 terms. Sometimes electorates get tired of government simply because they've been in office too long. There was always a danger of that for the JLP. He also overcame relentless attacks on his person, on his integrity. And again, he overcame that and led his party to victory. So, yes, the JLP lost some 15 seats, but I think everybody expected a lot of seats to flip to the PNP. The question was always whether the PNP would be able to flip enough seats to get to that magic number of 32 to allow them to win the election. And it turned out they didn't manage to do that. So I'm not going to go seat by seat, right? I did want to comment on a number of results, though. The JLP's Anne-Marie Vaz losing in East Portland to the PNP's Isaac Buchanan. And yes, over the years, this has been a traditional PNP seat until the murder of MP Linvale Bloomfield, following which Vaz defeated the PNP's Damian Crawford in a 2019 by-election. She had held the seat in 2020 in what was a landslide for the JLP, but Vaz now, she's seen as a hard-working MP who keeps close to the people, is always on the ground, and I think a lot of people did expect her to be able to hold on to that seat. But Isaac Buchanan, the firebrand attorney who is all over social media, managed to break the Vaz chokehold on the parish of Portland, and he is headed to Gordon House. Now, Rhoda Moy Crawford held on to Manchester Central for the Jamaica Labour Party. She was a first-timer, came to office in that 2020 landslide for the JLP, so she was thought to be vulnerable, but she held off a PNP stalwart in Donovan Mitchell. Now, look, we might have to start calling Rhoda the Giant Slayer because she's now taken down 2 PNP giants. She sent the PNP's Peter Bunting packing in 2020, forcing PNP President Mark Golding to name him to the Senate in order to keep him in Parliament. And now she's beaten PNP Councillor and Mayor of Mandeville Donovan Mitchell. And she has shown that she's a powerhouse who cannot be taken lightly. Have to mention also the JLP's Marlene Malahoo Fort holding on to St. James West Central, defeating the PNP's Andre Horton twice now. Now he's seen as a young, bright, up-and-coming, promising politician, but I suspect Horton may have to think twice now about his future in politics, especially considering how hard he was working in that constituency. All the Westmoreland constituencies went back to the PNP, showing that PNP Gensec Dayton Campbell looks like he made a good call when he jumped ship from St. Anne and moved over to Westmoreland Eastern. He moved from St. Anne Northwest, where Crystal Lee had sent him home in 2020. And Crystal Lee held onto that seat against a challenge from the PNP's Gabriella Morris, who was contesting a seat for the first time. So what happens now? Let's talk a little bit about that. The PM said something very interesting close to the end of his victory speech. I don't know if you caught it. He said, "We will not be laying back comfortably in victory. No, we will be rebuilding, refreshing, renewing, and preparing to be a credible alternative to the opposition for the fourth term of a Jamaica Labour Party government." So the PM looks like he's sending an early message that there's going to be some shaking up and some changing up and some new things coming. And that really is going to be crucial for them. Because the PNP is renewing. They had no choice. Their side of parliament was empty. Decimated, as I said, after the 2020 landslide. So it's going to now be full of dynamic voices. We're going to have a much more balanced parliament, which is fantastic for debate and for parliament and democracy. And the new voices on the PNP side going to be going hard because them have something to prove. Having said that, though, what can we expect from Holness himself as Prime Minister? Because he's now secured his place in history. First JLP Prime Minister to win a third term in victory against the odds. I think it's highly likely, that Holness might step down during this term in office. He has nothing left to prove. He's done everything he wanted to do. He's won that third term. He's also made significant improvements. He can point to all kinds of improvements in Jamaica, improvements in crime. Murders are down. He can point to infrastructural work. He can point to records like the lowest unemployment rate that we've recorded in Jamaica's history. So yeah, he has all these achievements he can boast of, right? If he decides to hold on as Prime Minister and contest a fourth election leading his party, he risks having to leave on a losing note. And why do that? As I said, he has nothing left to prove. So we might start to see maneuverings in the Jamaica Labour Party before too long if they start to look to succession and the possibility of a new leader. Because remember now, if Holness steps down, right, and there's a new JLP leader and a new Prime Minister, he's going to want to do that in enough time to give whoever is the new leader, whoever is the new Prime Minister, enough time to settle and solidify their lead on the party going into that next election. So that would have to happen about midterm or so to make sure any kind of fractures or splits that develop as a result of a leadership contest with the best in the world, with the best will in the world. Sometimes you can't avoid that, to ensure that, as I said, any new leader would have time to bring the party back together in time for the next election. And I know a lot of people might be saying, wait, how they unreached the so the election just done, but it's politics, it's a chess game, and Holness has shown he's a master player. He's going to want to leave his party in a good spot to win again. Then now we have the Senate and we have the Cabinet. He's talking about renewal. He has a clean slate with the Senate. He can bring in new faces here, or maybe more than likely a nice mix of new faces as well as experienced people. He has some space to move in new people. Some of his previous senators, they've won seats in the lower house. Audrey Marks, for instance, Delano Sivrite, Delroy Williams. So he has more elbow room here in the Senate. He's likely to need that because he doesn't have such a deep bench in the lower house as he used to. Just off the top of my head, I would have to say Dana Morris Dixon and Kamina Johnson Smith would seem to be shoo-ins to come back as senators and as cabinet ministers. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see Shireen Golding Campbell come back as a senator and also be named to the cabinet. But then again, in the lower house, if we're talking about renewal, what we might see is some of the older MPs decide to resign halfway through the term to trigger a by-election and allow for new people to come into the party in the lower house in that way. Anyway, you check it though, folks. Exciting times ahead in Jamaica, and this channel is here for all of it. Like the video now, share it with somebody who might be interested, and subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you know anytime we drop a new video. I'm Dion. Thank you so much for watching. Back to my tea.